Have you ever met someone who disappears from every party, who never picks up the phone, who sits alone even in a crowded room? Most people call them arrogant, but science tells us something completely different. Who are introverts? Psychology calls these people introverts, but here's what most people get wrong. Introvert does not mean shy. It does not mean socially broken. It simply means their brain is wired differently. Where normal people gain energy from crowds, introverts lose energy in crowds, and they recharge that energy only in silence, in solitude. That's it. That's the entire difference. The brain science. Harvard researchers discovered something fascinating. Introverts have a higher sensitivity to dopamine, the chemical responsible for excitement and pleasure in your brain. Their brain receives so much stimulation from social situations that loud environments, big crowds, and constant interaction literally overwhelm their nervous system. So they protect themselves by pulling away. Being alone isn't their weakness, it's their survival mechanism. Alone does not mean unhappy. Here's what society completely misunderstands. Being alone does not mean being lonely. Being alone does not mean being sad. Studies show that introverts who embrace solitude are actually more creative, more focused, and more productive than average. And the proof? Albert Einstein, introvert. Isaac Newton, introvert. Bill Gates, introvert. Mark Zuckerberg, introvert. The people who changed this world the most were the ones who spent the most time alone with their thoughts. Society's biggest mistake. We live in a world that rewards loudness. The person who talks the most gets noticed. The person who laughs the loudest gets liked. But the quiet one sitting in the corner? People assume something is wrong with them. This is one of the biggest mistakes society makes. Introverts speak less because every word they say is carefully considered. They have fewer friends because they choose depth over quantity. They avoid small talk because their mind craves meaningful conversation. The power of solitude. There is a word for the kind of alone time introverts need: solitude. And solitude is not emptiness. It is where the deepest thinking happens. It is where creativity is born. Psychologist Esther Buchholz once said that solitude is as crucial to the creative mind as sleep is to the human body. Think about that. The greatest ideas in human history were born in silence. Are you an introvert? Here are the signs. You feel exhausted after social events, even if you enjoyed them. You feel recharged after spending time alone. You prefer deep one-on-one conversations over group discussions. You have very few friends, but those friendships are extremely deep. You hate phone calls, but you're fine with texts. You think before you speak, always. If these sound like you are probably an introvert. And that is not a flaw. That is simply how your brain was built. Remember this. Being alone and being lonely are two completely different things. Lonely is when you want connection but can't find it. Solitude is when you choose silence because it feeds your soul. Introverts don't avoid the world because they hate it. They step back from it so they can understand it more deeply than anyone else. And often, the quietest person in the room has the loudest mind.